Stephan is back. He's been kind of hit or miss on the content, but this video, how to become the 1%, not financially, but in terms of being excellent, is something I thought was incredible. I'm excited. He has been on a complete terror lately in terms of just making great videos that I think are very practical and have a great utility, and I wanted to react to this video. Let's jump right into it.
So there seems to be this recent trend on YouTube of how to get ahead of 99% of people. Some of them all...
Is that a trend?
I've seen that guy's channel, Dan Co.
Oh, yeah, Dan Co. Yeah.
Have you seen his stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's kind of a new age spin to everything.
He does have a very new age Zen spin.
But they always, like, dudes like him always come off so depressed.
Yeah.
I'll admit, are wildly genius and insanely insightful, while others seem like a ChatGPT-inspired list of the most generic buzzwords that you could possibly think of.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
This is great. This is great. That's amazing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Like if waking up at 4:30 in the morning, meditating, and going to the gym were all it took to be successful, everybody would be doing it. But that's obviously not the case, which is why I wanted to share my own thoughts about what it actually takes to get ahead of 99% of people, since I've experienced it firsthand. I was able to buy my first property at 21 years old, earn my first million by 26 years old, and build a network of channels with now more than 1 billion views and 6 million combined subscribers. So here's exactly...
I like the flex. I like the flex, Graham. I like it.
Just bringing some life back to the videos.
Come on, Graham.
What's worked really well for me right after you hit the like button and subscribe for the YouTube algorithm.
Okay.
How was that for a transition? If it worked, hit the like button. Okay, I'll stop. Let's begin. First of all, Mark Manson really said it best. He said above all else, if you want to get the results that most people never get, you have to be a contrarian, meaning you need to go against the grain and take the approach that most people won't. What does that entail exactly? Well, consider that deep down, most of us are driven to be a part of a group. This is why people look to others for approval, are driven by these unspoken social norms, and for the most part, do the same things, operate the same ways, and believe in the same philosophies as the people that they surround themselves with.
What did Jesus say?
Jesus said a lot of things.
Broad is the road to destruction.
Wow.
Right? Can't be more contrarian than Christian.
Wow.
Can't be more contrarian than a follower of Jesus and his ways, just in terms of the social positioning of that. And so the fact that he is pointing out that you got to be contrarian, because we know that most people are going to be like most people, and being like most people is a massive L, right? And so I think people always assume that broad is the path, narrow is the way to heaven, that's exclusively about heaven. No, that's actually about your identity markers on this side of eternity, and about how you're going to live your life here and now, that you're going to live in contrast with the world, that you're going to look different, that you're going to be pure, you're going to be set apart. So I think Graham's totally hitting it. And again, this is why I don't know, I just look at Christians and I just be like, yo, I feel like we should be at an advantage. Yeah. All the principles are in the New Testament, all in the Proverbs, in the scriptures, right? Go ahead.
In the caveman days, these behaviors were often rewarded as a survival mechanism. It meant that you weren't too loud to attract predators, you didn't behave recklessly to alienate yourself from the tribe, and you didn't stand out too much to risk your own life.
Once upon a time, it was bad to be contrarian. Now, it's in your best interest to be contrarian. Contrarian just means going against the grain, by the way.
Even though we're wired the same way, we haven't yet adapted to a society that doesn't present the exact same dangers, which leads me to what's called the tall poppy syndrome. See, to be a contrarian, you're gonna stand out. A lot. Like, it's not normal for somebody to practice golf for 13 hours a day, bet their life savings on an electric car while they run out of cash, or take apart computers for fun at 13 years old. Most people wouldn't want to face the social pressure, ridicule, or criticism that comes along with being different. But if you want to stand out, you have to be comfortable with becoming the tall poppy. This is a phrase said to have originated in 400 BC when an emperor asked the best way to keep control over his people. But instead of receiving an answer, he walked through the fields and watched as every tall piece of wheat was cut down and leveled to the exact same height. The takeaway was that a prominent ruler would cut down anything or anybody that stood tall enough to become a challenge. And today that still very much applies.
Tall poppy syndrome is interesting because it's the subtle subconscious need in people to cut down others who are standing ahead of the standing out.
That's not true.
What's not true?
I'm just kidding. Oh. It was a joke about tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah,
I was cutting you down.
Oh, you were cutting me down. Yeah, so it's this thing inside of us that when someone's doing, like, you're okay with people doing well, just not better than you. Oof. You know, and if they're doing way better than you, then all of a sudden it becomes an issue. And so tall poppy syndrome is literally going through life frustrated, angry. This is, in my opinion, I think this is why the comment section always go left. You know what I mean? It's like,
Really?
yeah, I think people have this thing inside of them. Like if you look at our chat, like people that are actually here with us live,
Yeah.
and then you look at the comments of a video, the comments always go left because it's someone stumbling across something that looks big, is confident, and so they want to chop it down. They want to cut you down. They want to chop
This guy
down.
doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Crazy.
becomes almost like self-preservation to hide yourself within the crowd, not to do anything too much to stand out and be cut. But this is completely wrong. Today, our best innovations and advancements come from people who aren't afraid of being the tall poppy, who ignore the outside noise and go with the path that they deem to be correct. Although the truth is that so few people do this. In fact, Keynesian economics found that the majority of people follow and imitate group behaviors instead of independently coming to their own conclusion. In fact, it went so far that people randomly follow crowds because they believe the crowd is better informed than they are. And this
This could preach, man.
Yeah, man.
All of this could preach. And again, like, if you are courageous enough to be a contrarian following Jesus, why not continue down that path of being contrarian in other areas that could position you to be of most benefit to society?
Like what?
Like building a business, like building a YouTube channel, like building a service, like building an app, like building some code, like building something that can help other people.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
Hey, thank you so much for subscribing to our newest YouTube channel, Mastermind My Business, the channel where you get access to information on how to create, how to grow, and how to learn. But I wanted to show you something kind of crazy. Over 71% of the people that watch this channel are not subscribed. Please consider subscribing, turning that bell notification on so you don't miss anything. All right? I appreciate you.
This type of groupthink needs to be challenged if you're going to stand out from the 99%. Mark Manson also goes on to a second point that I really agree with, which is that not only do you have to be different and stand out from the crowd, but you also have to be right. I mean, let's face it, contrarian ideas are often contrarian for a reason.
Right.
Like college dropouts, on average, make less money than someone with a bachelor's degree. 50% of businesses fail within the first 5 years, and 80% of day traders lose money within the first year. Collectively, it helps to have all of this data at our fingertips so we can learn really quickly what's likely to work and what doesn't. But at a certain point, it's up to you to take the leap of faith and be correct about it. Just take Google. In 1999, no one thought that they would succeed. In fact, the founders were so doubtful that their idea would work that they tried to sell their entire company for $1 million and failed. But they pushed through, and now they're one of the most valuable companies in the entire world.
Ain't that crazy?
That's nuts.
It's crazy. So not only do you have to be contrarian, you also have to be right, because you can be contrarian and be wrong. I mean, listen, do you understand when I did music, how many people I still bump into that are trying to do music that never even reached it to the level I got to?
Wow.
Like, I just bumped into someone a couple of days ago, and I'm like, you're still in the same spot you were 6 years ago, last time I talked to you. You're still at 4,000 Instagram followers with no buzz.
This hurts.
You know what I mean? And you got to be
You're
right.
like, I was 10 times more successful, and I still bounced.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
That's heartbreaking.
And so you got to be right in terms of seeing the opportunities, right? Because if I just followed my passion, I'd still just be making music.
Yeah.
But when you start seeing the opportunities and the ins in the marketplace, sometimes it's not even that linear. Like I didn't objectively look at YouTube and go, oh, lockdown's happening. Consumption on YouTube is going to go up. Let me start streaming and doing reaction content. And then there's a massive void in the Christian marketplace. It wasn't that linear. It was just something instinctually went, I can't keep doing music. Let me try this format that I've had using the YouTube editor and reaction.
Crazy.
And then it just kind of clicked, right? But it was also, I knew something instinctually was here. And the only thing I knew back then was just Mike Winger. Like that was all I knew. I didn't know anything else.
I remember back then you trying to get me, all the other homies, to be on YouTube. Like I remember when you were like 20,000 subs and 10,000 of those were from music stuff. So like 10,000 YouTubes, and you'd be like, man, I just really think there's something here with the live stream. You should try it. And you're trying to get everybody on board.
Yep.
Wow, what a trip.
Yep. Let's keep going.
Or look at Steve Jobs. In 2007, he came up with the radical idea to combine the iPod with a mobile phone. At the time, it was ridiculous, and many people...
Now, he said this, and I was like, yo, I remember this is around the time I was like a freshman, sophomore. No, this is like a little after that. I was like 21 around the time this came. And I remember having like a phone that could get on the internet, and I thought this was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking, if someone could figure out a way to give me a little computer in my hands that I could browse the internet and I could listen to music and I could do email with. And I kept looking for phones that could do that. And you had like the Sidekick that can kind of sort of do that. You had these different phones that could do that. But then I knew something was going to come around like the iPhone that would revolutionize everything, because I was already seeing little pockets of it. I was already seeing the Sidekick. I was already seeing different phones that were attempting to do this. They just couldn't get it right. And then Apple did it. And this was, by the way, Apple's biggest product launch was the iPhone, which a lot of people don't know that.
This article is from 2006. It says why the Apple phone will fail and fail badly.
Thought it would fail, but now it's one of the best-selling products in the world. When I think of this, Henry Ford's quote comes to mind. He allegedly said, if he asked people what they wanted, they would say a faster horse. And I think that very much applies here. To be a part of the 1%, not only do you have to do something different than what most people are doing, but you also have to be correct about it, which is a very tall order. Just consider that under every giant success are thousands of failures, like Google Glass, electrified water to cure headaches, or season 1 of Cooking with Ferris. Point being, not everything is going to be a hit, but when you combine a contrarian idea with being correct, magical things begin to happen, and that's what's really helped me. For instance, in 2008, I was faced with the reality that I wasn't going to college. In my world, this was socially unacceptable. My parents had expectations of me going to college, all of my friends were accepted to great universities, and there I was, with bad grades and nowhere to go. But deep down, I just knew that school wasn't for me, so instead of spending 4 years and tens of thousands of dollars following the same path as everybody else, I decided to get my real estate license. I still remember
Sounds oddly like you, Zach. You knew you weren't going to go to college. You knew you wanted to do something with film.
If I can be where Graham Stephan is, wait, was he 35?
So he's in his mid-30s, something like that, yeah.
Then I can have my farm. I'll be happy with that. Amen. Amen.
Condescending remarks from friends' parents, I received a lot of pushback from people who were telling me I was making a big mistake, and pretty much everybody discouraged me from taking an unconventional path. But I ignored the criticism and I went for it during one of the worst housing crashes in history. And that was the best decision I had ever made. Within 9 months, I had sold my first house as a real estate agent for $3.65 million. By the time I was 20 years old, I was making over $100,000 a year, and instead of spending it all, I saved everything, which led to my next contrarian success. See, by 2011, the real estate market was horrible. California had the most foreclosure filings in the country, prices were in a consistent free fall, entire counties were filing for bankruptcy, and I thought it was a pretty good time to buy a home. From my perspective, prices had fallen to a point where they were just too cheap to buy. Like, it didn't make any sense that homes were selling at $100,000 that had a replacement value of $250,000.
That's crazy. I feel like such a loser for not getting in on this.
It hurts a little more watching
it
this
hurts,
back.
bro. Especially when the market was on the floor and I was just getting out of debt, and then I like got so indoctrinated with getting out of debt that I didn't see the practical side of like, let me just get into something in 2013.
You could have touched your first M just as on a residential side, not
Easy.
even on a business side.
Easy. I could have bought, a house for $200K that would be worth $1 million right now.
Bro. Oh,
Yeah, yuck.
In those cases, it literally would cost more to replace at wholesale cost than you could buy on the open market, and I knew that was not going to last. It was at that point that I began making offers pretty much every day on whatever I could get my hands on. I was making these offers sight unseen while they just sat on the market with no activity whatsoever. I was also told numerous times just to wait a little bit longer because shadow inventory was expected to hit the market and decimate values even further. But I had the confidence that even if the market did go down, it's still a good price to buy, and I did. I sunk my entire savings into buying 3 foreclosures and fixing them up, and today they're all worth over 500% more than what I paid. After that, I continued the exact same strategy of buying dilapidated homes and fixing them up, and by the time I was 26 years old, I had a net worth of over $1 million. Now sure, I don't doubt that there was also an element of luck that played into it, to being at the right place at the right time to take advantage of an opportunity that I recognized because I spent 12 hours a day working in real estate nonstop for years. But had I just gone with the crowd, waited a little bit longer, and played it safe, there's no way that I would be here today without getting those initial deals that gave me such a huge leg up later on. Or
It's good.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think this is really good. And I think it just whenever someone can take the mechanics of their own success and break it down into practical, tangible steps, I always think there's a W there.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes people who are successful on accident and they can't retrace their steps. They were just at the right place, right time, right amount of work ethic, right amount of grit, right amount of being likable, around the right people. They can't really retrace their steps and tell you how.
Is that bad though?
No, it's not necessarily bad.
Yeah.
It's unless you are trying to teach people.
I feel like that's gonna be me. like just randomly drop the YouTube comment under your channel. Like back in when I was 18, then like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I got a job.
All right,
6 years later.
So accidental success is not bad. What is bad is if you're trying to position yourself as an authority on how to help other people become successful. That's bad. Hey, this is a segment from our daily after party stream. Consider partnering with us online for as little as $5 a month to get access to these daily after party streams completely unedited. You'll also get access to our podcast as they are streamed live into the community before anyone else gets to see them, get to interact with our guests, get access to our private Discord server, and a discount code for our store for as little as $5 a month. Ultimately, that will help towards helping us continue contextualizing the gospel using media and podcast here on YouTube. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.